You're listening to Satellite Sisters.
What's a satellite sister?
The person you call when the best thing in your life happens or the worst.
The person that gets you up, gets you going, and gets you through.
And every once in a while, changes your mind.
This podcast is part pep talk, part weekly check-in.
Like grabbing coffee with a friend.
Thanks for being here. Welcome to the Satellite Sisterhood.
You are listening to Satellite Sisters. We are so glad you're here today. Thank you for listening and sharing the sisters. I'm Leanne Dolan in Pasadena, California. I'm a writer and producer, but Julie, I'm throwing it to you for the all-important question of the day today.
Okay, hi, this is Julie Dolan. I'm in Dallas, Texas, and here's our opening question for today. The Dallas TV show, primetime TV show, is celebrating its 45th anniversary. So my question to you, sisters, is who was your favorite character on the TV show Dallas? Liz?
Okay, this is Liz Dolan in Santa Monica, California. I don't want to spoil your whole big wind-up, Julie, but I'm trying to remember if I've ever seen an episode of Dallas.
Really?
So,
Liz,
yeah.
it was must-see TV in the 80s. It was on for 13 seasons. It revolutionized primetime TV with its soap opera style.
Okay, I think the first half of the 80s, I didn't really have a TV, and I don't know. So the only thing I picture when you say Dallas is like Bobby in the shower. But I know, hey, that was a whole drama, right? But I know Bobby wouldn't have been my favorite character, so I'm going to have to pass, Julie. Leanne, how about you? I'm sure you have a point of view on this.
Oh, I was a huge Dallas fan from day one. I used to sneak watch Dallas at our house in Connecticut when I was in high school. I loved Lucy Ewing. That was Charlene Tilton. Remember her?
Yes.
She was like the original hot mess on TV or anywhere. Like that character, that human, So Lucy Ewing was my favorite. How about you, Jewel?
Oh, easy. It was Miss Ellie, Barbara Bel Geddes, where everyone else was totally glammed up. She was wearing those shirt dresses around at the ranch there, just keeping everyone in line. And I also liked it because she looked very much like our Aunt Eleanor, our mom's twin sister. And in fact, that's what what our cousins used to call their mom when that show came out. They used to always call her Miss Ellie. That was her grandmother name. So there you have it.
I like these fake anniversaries now, that pop culture fake anniversaries, TV shows, album releases, all kinds of stupid fake anniversaries. I'm for it. All right, today on the show, what do we have? Well, we have a lot going up. We're going to do some follow-ups. Last week, we had a couple of conversations about education over the last couple of weeks, and we have some follow-ups. Liz, you're bringing us a bitter business bureau.
Yes.
We have not been that bitter lately, but this week, a lot to be bitter about.
We have two good reasons, Leanne. I mean, seriously, people, we will get to that.
All right, Jill, we love when you bring us Tuesday trends. And
I've got some good ones, and they're coming from all over the world. And I think we're going to get in on some of these, perhaps at the Big Fun Weekend in Minneapolis. Woo-hoo.
All right, for entertaining sisters, I have an assignment for anybody who is in the New York area or traveling to New York this fall. I want you to go to this exhibit at MoMA. I'm going to tell you about that. And also, I have my witchy book list. I work on that every year.
Yeah.
So I have a whole nother round of books about witches and magic. All right, Liz.
Okay, well, first, I just have one quick thing. On last week's show, we talked, Julie, about the birthday card that you had sent me, but I hadn't received it yet because I wasn't home. So I got home to Santa Monica last night, and boom, there it was in my mailbox. I just wanted to share. Okay, so this was the one where you said the message was generated by artificial intelligence, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Okay, all right.
I used an app to generate, a heartfelt birthday message to you, my sister.
Okay, so Leanne, you're an actual writer. So I'm going to read you just a couple of sentences, and you tell me if it sounds like Julie or like a robot. But first, I want to point out that the front of the card says, "Happy birthday from your favorite sibling."
Yes. Just grabbing that spot, saw that card, had to get it.
Okay, so dear Liz, blah, 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 blah. This is okay. Your zest for life, unmatched style, and youthful spirit never cease to amaze. Here's to the grooviest sister who's kept redefining every decade. So what do you think, Leanne? Does that sound like Julie Dolan or does that sound like a robot?
It sounds a touch like Julie Dolan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's close. It's positive. It's
Yes.
well constructed. The sentiment, I think, is something that Julie would say to you. Just the language is a little strangely formal and like, I don't know, like a robot wrote it instead of Julie Dolan. That's what I would say.
But I feel like groovy is a Julie Dolan word. So, Julie, did you prompt the robot to use the word groovy or did it just...
I did prompt the robot to, that, hey, my sister's pretty hip. She does have a real zest for life. So, I mean, this is where you can get good with the robots, Liz. If you narrow the parameters, then you can get language that sounds closer to something that you might.
Okay. All right. So good try. I really enjoyed getting it. I think it's probably more text than you would normally have written.
That's exactly right.
Anyway, well, thank you to my favorite sibling.
Okay, well, it will be a memorable birthday. There you go. So this is a one-off thing, I think.
Okay, good.
Okay. Well, sisters, I was talking to my daughter-in-law Vera this week because she's busy. She's got 3 kids, 3 different schools. She's got her job. She's doing a million things. But she said this past week she had to go to the parent meetings at 2 different high schools. Her daughter goes to an all-girls high school, and her son Ben goes to an all-boys high school. And she was telling me the messages that these 2 schools were giving to parents was completely different. She said at the girls' school, she went in there and the message to the parents was, stay out of it. We are not going to tell you when quizzes are. We're not going to tell you when tests are. You don't get the syllabus. You don't, just back off. Stay away from these girls. These girls have to learn to advocate for themselves. They have to be in charge of their own academic life, and you are to do nothing. Okay. That, which I thought was a really good message,
Yeah.
Then the next night, she went to her son, Ben, goes to an all-boys school, and the message was a little different. The message was, here's the syllabus, here's the schedule of quizzes, pop quizzes, here are the class notes, here are study guidelines, here are the books. You have to be on top of these people, okay?
That's so interesting.
And she was just, again, Vera comes from a different educational system. She grew up in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan. She grew up at the end of the Soviet Union, and she went to co-ed schools. And so she really has never had experience with single-sex schools until just now when her kids are going to single-sex high schools. And she just thought it was so interesting and also so relevant, and it made a lot of sense. I mean, there's, Leanne, you're a mother of 2 boys. I'm a mother of 2 boys, and there's been a lot written lately about why boys are falling behind in education. In fact, a recent study from Cal State Fullerton came out, and it was just talking about how really boys may be a bit behind for girls developmentally when they, in the classroom instruction area. And, they just have a different executive functioning system. The issue of delayed gratification may not be, totally mature. Even self-regulation may not be mature. Isn't this right? I mean,
even those phrases are laughable. Yes. I mean, that being said, let's say there are boys that are totally on top of it.
Yes.
Like that,
Correct.
It's not all boys. It's not every boy, but just the boys I had fall into this latter category of needing some more time to mature is a nice way to say it.
Yeah. But I liked it just as sort of an observer that these 2 schools, they're educating the same age group, but they're taking very different approaches, even in terms of the length of the classes. At the girls' high school, longer classes, boys' high school, shorter classrooms, 50 minutes. That's it. Maybe, and I think I think that kind of, I don't know if it's not really experimentation, but that kind of adaptation to, what's really working for the student population that you're trying to teach, I think is great. That's,
Yeah.
I think.
So
Yeah.
how does that work then in co-ed schools? Then
I don't, this is, I think, Liz, that's, I think it depends, I think schools have to kind of navigate that in terms of recognizing that there are different learning, learning styles, there are learning differences, and how to set up different types of programs within a larger school so that all children can succeed.
interesting.
Part of the complexity of teaching at any grade level. I mean,
Right.
one of the things that shocked me about boys, and my sons also went to an all boys Catholic school. They are starving all the time. They are just so hungry all the time. And I know that sounds funny, but they just are so hungry. I think so. They had a lot of food breaks, and I didn't really understand that. But now, once I saw like how many calories they were eating, I mean, especially if they're getting up, they're going to practice early in the morning, then they go straight to class. By 10 a.m., they're very hungry. By noon, they are hungry again. It's just one of the challenges. Actually, like they're really hungry, and I don't think they just said they would space out in class the last 15 minutes because all they could think about was the breakfast burrito. And I don't blame them.
And I think that's probably true. I mean, Liz, now a lot of schools start later for high school
Yeah. Yeah.
because
I've read a lot about that.
Yeah,
Because the teenagers need more sleep, right?
right, exactly. So I think these adaptations are, make sense, and it's interesting to watch. Whether it's more food at the school or later classes or different types of classes. I think it's you got all of it is important.
Well, I have an interesting follow-up to this story, Julie. It's timely. And a couple of weeks ago, you said, we were supposed to construct like, what is our best advice for back to school?
Right.
And I said, like, don't bug kids the minute they get in the car. But there were about 182 other things I wanted to say. And one of which is like, sometimes with your own kids, you really have to take the long view. And it's patience, patience, patience. So for those of you who have been listening to the show a long time, I have a son, Brooks. He is my oldest son. He was, I think, 4 when we started doing Satellite Sisters. He's 27 years old now. And he's 28. He's 28 years old now, actually. Okay, he's 28 years old. So, and Brooks all along was a lovely kid. But was he a great student? No, he was not. Did he enjoy reading and writing and arithmetic? He did not. Was every parent-teacher conference just like nails on a chalkboard to me? Perfect student? Yes, it was. It was very, very hard for me to understand him. And it was very, very hard for some of his teachers to understand him. But all along, he had a certain confidence in certain areas that I thought, I guess he's going to be okay. So last week, you know what Brooks did? He started a job. He is a college professor now.
How did that happen? I mean, he's the nicest guy ever. I always told you that. My godson, the nicest guy ever. Yes.
It's unbelievable. And even when he told us that he had gotten a call from the head of the department at his alma mater, he went to an art school, which of course caused every parent I know to roll their eyes and say, oh, is he going to be taking underwater basket weaving? Oh, shut up. Okay. Just shut up. He's going to a highly competitive art school. He took a gap year after high school. Then
he wasn't even that keen on going to college.
Yeah,
Never mind
he was keen. That's not
teaching at one.
Yeah, he was keen to go to college. He took an athletic deferment, Liz. So I don't want to perpetrate that. He was injured his senior year. He was going to go off and play soccer. He took an athletic deferment, and then he completely changed his plans and went to an art school, which was a very competitive, very hard school, and that he never could have gotten through if he hadn't taken a gap year and learned to mature and work physically and work with older students and stuff like that. But yeah, his he's now teaching a class at Art Center College of Design. He is an assistant professor, not even the first level. He's a second level professor because of his professional experience.
Does he get a parking space? Because that's really that's the status on campus.
He does.
Oh, okay. I'm now duly impressed, Lee.
Yeah, he does. But even when he told us, he said, He said, I know I'm the least likely person in this family to become a college professor.
Good for him.
I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. And I'm super proud of him. And he's teaching a very hands-on production class. You know, he has a thriving professional life here in Los Angeles. He owns his own studio. He owns his own business.
So when is homecoming? Because he should go with his badge, his ID badge, Assistant Professor Brooks, and show up at his elementary school.
Yeah, but fortunately he had a lot, but just enough teachers along the way that really saw something in him. He was always very good at art, always a real leader on the sports field, maybe not, in math class. He's always loved getting up early and working with a big team. And he had a high school class that really kind of changed his life. And that was a huge, directional shift for him. So he's had enough great teachers along the way. But you have to practice patience. Here he goes, 28, Professor Brooks. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Congratulations, Brooks.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, a little bit of an AI follow-up. Last week, Julie, you talked about college admissions essays and kids turning to AI. And I'm not going to go through this whole story, but just to say, there are some stories that cannot be told through AI. And there was a fantastic piece in the Los Angeles Times, and we have the link in the show notes. They've been doing a series on the challenges of educating in rural school districts, just what some of these students and teachers and districts are up against when you're dealing in rural America. And there was a story of a young woman who had just been through it all. She never really knew her father. Her mother was in and out of addiction facilities. She had been through the foster care system, eventually had to emancipate herself at 17. And at which point her mother promptly threw her out of the house. So she was essentially living in the back of a car for a couple of years, all while holding down 3 jobs and going to high school. And so it was her college counselor there at her high school in rural California that said, you need to write about all this in your college essay. And it's an incredible story. I want you to read it. I don't want to give away any of the details, but let's say she ended up writing about it. She's at a fantastic college now. But AI can't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't
tell
plug
that
in-
story.
You can't tell can't tell that story. You can't plug in homeless at 16, worked 3 jobs, organized all these events at school while not having enough food at her house. You can't plug that into AI and come up with an essay that gets you into one of the best colleges in America. So just to follow up there, you can never replace people's personal stories with a robot. That's
Right,
good news,
definitely
Joel.
sounds
That's
worth
good
reading.
news.
Yeah. Thank you, Lian, for that recommendation. And I have a recommendation for a book that I've been reading. It's called Never Enough by Jennifer Breheny. I think that's how you pronounce her middle name, Wallace. And she's a journalist, and she really wanted to look at what she calls the toxic achievement culture that's taking over kids and parents' lives. This real pressure to spend all of your effort to get great grades in order to get admission to an elite schools. And what prompted Jennifer to write this book was the Varsity Blues scandal. You remember that, where all the wealthy parents and Hollywood stars were paying to get their kids admitted to elite schools, falsifying their application, saying they were tennis stars when they weren't, or, rowing stars. Well, anyway, that's what prompted Jennifer to do this. And she interviewed 6,000 parents and kids about the issue of pressure, Liz. Okay. Just what it's like, even if you don't want to, as a parent, don't want to put pressure on your kids, it's just so pervasive in a lot of communities. Maybe not in certain zip codes, but in many zip codes, it is, it's where all the energy is spent, is on, training kids and extra coaches and extra test preps and each grade, each test, it all counts so much. And she said what's happening is the kids, even if they achieve what they thought was their dream to go to an elite school, it's not rewarding for them. They, that there are kids there with, in many elite schools that really suffer from crippling anxiety, or really low self-esteem, low self-worth, because, that's not who they are and really, what they want to be valued for. When the kids were interviewed, they said the most important thing was to feel like they mattered, which
Which depends on who's measuring, right?
Right. But it was
Good point. Yeah.
it's about their own self-worth or having intrinsic self-worth. So it's a very interesting book. Again, it's called Never Enough. She does have some suggestions. She offers a toolkit for, how if this is in your own family, how you might be able to kind of lower the temperature, lower the pressure, so kids, or broaden your perspective about what success really looks like, Leanne and Liz. So I think it's really a very interesting read, really well done, and something that many parents would enjoy.
Yeah.
It's funny. It makes me think about what Leanne said about Brooks, that
Right.
that despite all of the external measurements, Brooks always had a lot of confidence and believed in himself.
Yes.
Yes.
That is the thing. Like with Brooks, like the grades, like the totally average grades and the never turning in any math homework, it bothered me, but it never bothered him. I mean, he does not suffer from anxiety. It is why, like, eventually, as he became a young man, I never worried so much about him. Like, I wanted him to take a typical path, but he chose not to. And I was like, well, it's all going to be fine because it's him. But there are other kids that are the complete opposite, Julie. That's where that anxiety comes from. The external pressure is extraordinary. And from the minute they walk into high school, all people are talking about is college. That's it. And it's sort of kind of, takes those 4 years of really critical development, I think, and turns it sort of inside out. High school is in of itself a really important, exercise, a really important time to grow up, a really important part of your life. But if the sole goal is to get into one of 6 or 7 colleges in the country, that's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure.
Right.
Yeah. It's the complete opposite of that story I recommended about education in rural America. Those are not the challenges that they have.
No.
But, it's just some of these kids just give them some space. Give them some space.
And the parents too. I mean, that they shouldn't have all this anxiety and pressure too.
Right.
I mean, that, there's a better way to spend your family time. Yeah.
Right. I can also speak to that in the sense that if your kid is not doing a traditional path, people do say things to you. They do make assumptions about you and your family and your kids. Like I said about the art school, all the eye rolling. I'm like, okay, well, it's very competitive and it's very hard. And you know what? People love art. I don't know. Do you ever watch TV or go to the movies or read a book? You seem to enjoy art. I don't know why you think people don't need to go to school for it. But it is out of whack. It's out of balance. Kids find their own path. And we all need a little patience as they do that and understanding. It makes for happier kids, I think. All right. When we come back, Liz has the Better Business Bureau. Stay with us. Support for today's episode comes from Jenny Kane. She's our friend, and that's perfect timing because fall is on its way and our wardrobe could use a refresh. Julie, we love Jenny Kane because she is minimalist, she's effortless, she's totally refined. It's a great look that makes getting dressed so much easier, right?
Right. It's just one great item that you can put on with your jeans. I am now obsessed with, it was apparently last year's obsession, but I love it this year. And that is Jenny Kane's half zip sweater in black cashmere. Oh, it looks great. Great with jeans. Great. You can put it on with a little skirt, joggers. Oh, I'm definitely targeting that, Leanne.
Oh, all right. Well, I also like the Cashmere Francis polo. It's kind of a cool vintage inspired staple. I think that's me, cool and vintage inspired. Isn't that?
Yes.
Yes, that's how I
too.
think of myself. Jenny Kane is known for their super luxe yet lightweight sweaters. And trust us, they do cashmere better than anyone. We love their cashmere sweaters. And the great news is that for a limited time, Satellite Sisters listeners get 15% off their first order. That's right. Go to jennykane.com and use code SISTERS to get 15% off. Now, our friend Jenny, she likes to spell her name JENNIKAYNE. jennykane.com, promo code SISTERS. 15% off your first order. Let getting dressed be one less thing to worry about. Julia, how are you feeling about your skin these days? Is it time for a fall refresh from Osea?
Yes, because I don't want to look like one of those leaves on the ground, all cracked and dried. So, Leanne, I have really upped my Osea Essential Hydrating Oil routine. I mean, I'm just slathering that on all day. Okay.
It's true. I mean, this is the dry season for skin, and we don't want to be a part of that, Julie. We want in on that delicious Undaria algae body oil, right? That just, oh my gosh, you're like, do I put it on my skin or do I eat it? I don't know. It just makes me look so fresh, though, so plump. It feels like your skin is just smoother and softer and smells delicious, right?
Absolutely. I told you my dog Oliver likes to lick my legs when I put that Undaria collagen body lotion on my legs. He just loves it. Okay. I love it. He loves it. It's a good combo.
Well, Osea has been making seaweed-infused products that are safe for your skin and the planet for over 27 years. All of their products are clean, vegan, cruelty-free, climate-neutral, powered by seaweed, and conceived in California. So you never have to choose between your values and your best skin. You can fall into your most radiant skin yet with Osea. Get 10% off your first order site-wide with the code SATSISTERS at OseaMalibu.com. You'll get free samples with every order. We love that. And free shipping on orders over $60. Head to OseaMalibu.com. And here's how you spell Osea. OSEA. Like C. OseaMalibu.com. Use code SATSISTERS for 10% off. Thanks, Osea.
Okay, sisters, it's been a while since we had an installment of the Bitter Business Bureau. Really, one of our ongoing favorite segments, wouldn't you say?
Yes. Yes. Who doesn't like to get bitter? Forget about being happy. Yes.
Yeah, at businesses and things. So there were two stories this week that jumped out at me for the Bitter Business Bureau. So for the first one, I'll introduce by saying, seriously, Jann Wenner? So just a little refresher. Jann Wenner was the founder of Rolling Stone magazine. And so big power player in the music business for a really long time. He was also one of the founders of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Well, this weekend, he was thrown off the board of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Foundation for what I think is 100% legit reason. So he published a book that is his favorite rock and roll interviews from Rolling Stone. The title of the book is The Masters. And then he gave a lengthy interview to the New York Times about the book, The Masters. And one of the things the journalist asked about is, why did he choose in this book of all of his favorite interviews of the biggest thinkers in music to include not one woman and not one Black person? That is Dylan, it's Lennon, it's Springsteen, but it's basically, I'll just bluntly, he's an old white man and he only featured old white men. So, like how that happens in this day and age is just a complete mystery to me. That nowhere along the line somebody said, well, there must be others. But now that I've heard his answers to these questions in the interview, I bet he was challenged. He's like, no, these people really are better. Because when he was challenged by the journalist, he said that he could not find any women who were well-spoken enough to be featured in his book. That he said, for instance, quote, Joni was not a philosopher of rock and roll. She didn't meet that test. So Joni Mitchell, not smart enough to pass his test. Okay. I just want to tell you, Jann Wenner, I'm taking a class at Stanford this semester that is entirely about Joni Mitchell. Okay. So maybe she's not going to pass Jann Wenner's test, but she seems to be satisfying the music department at Stanford University. So, and then they also asked about Black musicians.
Yeah, how about that?
And he said, still, just did not pass the test, Julie, of being able to articulate a philosophy. He said,
Like Jimi Hendrix, who
Yeah.
apparently was not a good enough
No,
rock and roll.
no. He said,
He
Stevie
didn't.
Wonder.
Okay, I'll
Stevie
just
Wonder,
keep that in mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Stevie Wonder, you could call him a genius, but that's not the same thing as really being able to articulate a philosophy. So obviously there was quite a brouhaha when he explained that he just didn't think anyone but white men were smart enough to talk about music. And
Which
so
is
then-
really what the interview said. I
Yeah.
mean, if you read the whole interview, that's not even an unfair assessment. It's literally what he
Did you
says in
ever
the
read?
interview.
Did you ever read Rolling Stone?
Yes.
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 Oh, I see. I
Cover,
never
cover.
read it.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh,
'Cause
always.
I didn't like it. It just seemed like it always seemed like it was the male point of view. And
It always was.
It
Yes,
always
And
was.
that is true.
Yeah.
Well, not for nothing. The reason Vibe magazine was started by Quincy Jones, who, by the way, is a genius and a philosopher of rock and roll,
Right.
but did not make Jann Wenner's list. I mean, he started Vibe because Rolling Stone was just so white and so male. But anyway, so when he goes to explain, this is when you just want to say, "Oh, just stop talking, stop talking." So he apologized for what he called his quote badly chosen words. Well, I mean that's bogus. I mean, he said what he actually believed. You
Yeah,
know, so
right.
they're not badly. They're only badly chosen because you believe this. You were saying what you really think. And then he also said, this was a direct quote, "Just for PR's sake, maybe I should have gone and found one Black and one woman to include here, even if they didn't meet the standard."
oh, that's even worse. Yeah.
No, it's terrible,
Unbelievable.
Julie.
It's
Yeah.
like, I mean, like if you're Carole King sitting at home reading that, you know, if you're Smokey Robinson sitting at home reading that, okay, come on. That's why all I can say is seriously, Jann Wenner. Anyway, boom, he's gone from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and he deserves it. That's all.
You know,
And
just kudos to David Marchese, the journalist who really held his feet to the fire. At one point, he did actually work at Rolling Stone on the digital side, like early in his career, the journalist. But I mean, it's a very good interview. So even if you've heard excerpts or seen excerpts, it's worth reading the whole thing because there are other sort of jaw-dropping revelations in there too. So anywho,
Yeah,
but
The whole
excellent
thing,
interview.
the whole thing is actually worse than the headlines. So
Yeah,
that's why
agreed.
that's why we thought it, it reached our bitterness test, which is important, Jann. Okay, next Bitter Business Bureau installment. I'm just going to say, seriously, Sudafed doesn't work? Now,
This was crushing news. Crushing news.
okay, we are a family of sneezers, all right? A family of allergies. I personally do not suffer from serious allergies, but the amount of hours, days, weeks I have spent watching Leon and Monica and Sheila and our brothers, like, do you have any Sudafed? Do you have Sudafed? Like, who's got the Sudafed? Like, the moment someone starts to sneeze, it's like the drug dealing that would go on in our household based on who was holding. And holding was always Sudafed. And so an advisory panel to the Food and Drug Administration agreed unanimously on Tuesday that a common decongestant ingredient used in many over-the-counter cold medicine is ineffective, just ineffective.
But see,
And it-
I feel like it was effective, Liz. Now, I
Okay.
mean, it never, okay.
Okay, well, two things, Julie. The drug itself, the ingredient itself is phenylephrine. And so they've said, there are other things in some of these cold medicines that did work.
Okay.
But the phenylephrine itself, which was the main ingredient that was supposed to work, that's the only part that didn't work. It's just the main drug. And then, of course, I texted, I would say that our our Sudafed expert in our family has to be Monica Dolan, right?
Absolutely. She's the lead allergic person.
The
for
lead
family.
sneezer.
Lead sneezer. Good.
Lead sneezer.
Certainly the loudest. Certainly the loudest sneezer.
So when I texted Monica, like, sad news about Sudafed, she's like, yeah, too bad people wasted their money on fake Sudafed, but don't discount the placebo effect. If you thought you were taking effective cold medication, you might have felt better by magical thinking. But being someone who is in the medical field herself, she does think it's bad that the FDA had approved and consistently allowed to be sold something that clearly did not work. Now, one thing they said in this advisory is don't panic, consumers, okay? So, Julie, if you're starting to panic, the expert said don't panic because even though the ingredient doesn't work, it's not dangerous. So, there you go.
Oh,
Well, are they
I
going
hadn't
to
even considered that.
Yeah.
Well, are they going to unlock the Sudafed? Because you can't buy it when you go to CVS. It's all locked up. Or are they
Well,
going to
that's an alternative ingredient, which they may have to, so they might have to reformulate. I mean, this isn't just Sudafed, it's Tylenol, Mucinex, Benadryl. It's like that whole aisle is going to have to be reformulated. So who knows? Maybe they just have to put locks at either end. Anyway, thanks for nothing, Sudafed.
I'm just going to keep taking my pills every day. I can't face the truth. Took one this morning. I don't care.
You did?
Yeah.
You're just doubling down on the placebo effect. The magical thinking is working for you. I'm glad, Liam. I'm glad.
Oof, now I'm really bitter. Okay, well, we're gonna have to cheer ourselves up with some Tuesday trends, and I have a fantastic one to start out. I'm gonna give a big shout out to satellite sister Deb Minelschmidt, okay, who brought this to our attention. It's called Wancing. Do you want to know what Wancing is?
Yes, because that
Yes.
does not ring a bell as a word or an
it's
activity.
Walking and dancing. It's dancing as you walk. It's the art of letting loose, of spreading joy, of pep in your step. So if you go to wancerevolution.com, you'll see that by doing this, by dancing while you walk, you're going to exercise your mind, your body, your spirit. It can be help you meditate as you're dancing down the street. And clearly, you're not caring what others think, Lian. When you do this, you're just expressing yourself through movement. And perhaps you're meeting other like-minded people as you wance down the street.
Okay. I have to go to the website right now to Wance Revolution and see what this is all about.
It's full of joy, Lian. That's what it is. It's pep in your step. I think it's it could work. That's what I think.
It's the way you see kids move,
Right.
Like,
Yes.
imagine a little girl wancing. That seems so easy to imagine. How do we unlearn that? Because that's
I don't know
what happened.
High heels. I'm trying to commute on the subway. Those are how you unlearn those two things.
But I think maybe to be wancing a solo may be harder to start in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
But if you got a small group of wancers, I think you could really have some fun. Like, hey, 9:00, let's meet up for some wancing. What do you think? I just love saying the word. And in my mind, if pickleball can exist, so can wancing. I think it's as legitimate. Don't you think?
Yeah, certainly is legitimate. Yes.
And it's fun to say.
Yes.
Okay.
I really thought this had to do with mushrooms, wancing. I am so shocked by this whole thing. I had no idea where you were going with this.
Okay, so Deb, satellite sister Deb, is suggesting that maybe at the Big Fun weekend, there could be some wancing. Now, Liz, I know you're doing the walking tour. Okay. I'm going to be doing bracelets and beads. Okay. But you are going to be outside walking. So perhaps you should, rethink that.
Yes.
Maybe it could be a wancing episode. Okay.
I think it's all about the freedom to wance. I don't want to put pressure on people to wance, though, Julie, because goodness knows I'm not going to do it. But we are going to the Mary Tyler Moore statue and back. Yes. So wancing, I am open to any wancers in that group for sure.
Okay.
Liz, it appears that there is quite a wance community in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Yep. Okay.
So watch out. They could show up. You just invited them to come. So
Okay.
boogie,
All right.
oogie, oogie. All right.
Okay. All right. We've got to move on. Are you planning a trip to Scotland? Well, if you go, you need to do this. Leanne and I love the show Outlander, right? We did
Yes.
commentary on Outlander for many years, okay? And certainly the heartthrob, the star of that show, Sam, we never learned how to pronounce your last name, Hegan. He's Scottish, aka Jamie Fraser, okay? Right?
Right.
Well, he lives in Glasgow. And he is because that's where they film Outlander. So this past weekend in the New York Times, Jamie, aka I'm just going to call him Jamie, put together an article of his favorite spots in Glasgow. So just think about this, Leanne. Okay, you could go to Scotland.
Yeah.
And you could do some of the things that Jamie does all the time when he's there. He does a run walk along the River Clyde. Are you in?
I'm in. I'm in.
Wouldn't you get paid big money to be just wancing down the River Clyde there and run into Jamie Fraser? Okay.
Yes. Nice.
Okay. Or how about perhaps stopping at the microbrewery Drygate for a beer? Because that's what Jamie Fraser, aka Sam Huygen, likes to do after his run. Okay. I don't know what he was thinking by writing this article, because I think it's going to be it's just going to invite stalkers, right?
Right.
Aren't there going to be just millions of women hanging out in the Drygate microbrewery or at the whiskey bar, the Ben Nevis bar, just hoping that Sam shows up, okay? Or the Crab Shack where he likes to sit at the counter. Make note of that if you're going. Don't get a table, sit at the counter. Okay. So I think
they're sitting there now. It's done. It's over. Those places are over. They went there immediately to the Crab Shack. Yep.
Okay. So, well, just a note, if you're not planning a trip to Scotland and you can't do it, you still can indulge in the world of Jamie Fraser, because apparently he has a new wild Scottish gin coming out under the label. Hold your seat, Leanne. Okay, Liz, you're not going to understand this, but Leanne is the Sassenach label.
All right. Good for him.
Okay.
There you go.
Liz, I'll explain. This is Sassenach is the word for stranger or foreigner. And it was a term of endearment that super handsome Jamie Fraser used to say to his wife, Claire, who was kind of a foreigner because she was a time traveler. Okay, but that's a whole nother story.
Okay, yes. Oh, right.
We're not getting
You lost me when you got to time travel.
me
Other
too.
than that, I
Liz,
was
me
with you.
too. Okay,
Yes.
but Liz, I have a trend for you.
Okay.
Because it's this is opening up in your beloved state of Oregon. Okay, Oregon is launching the legal sale of magic mushrooms. Okay. So listen to this, Liz. There is a shop in Eugene. Weren't you just recently
I was in Eugene for the weekend.
Did you happen to stop at the Epic Healing store in Eugene? Okay.
I did not.
Where you
Darn.
could
Should have gotten the heads up earlier.
Okay, so you could sign up for a 6-hour session, which gives you access to a tie-dyed mattress and wind chimes and a few other things. And then you can take one of these magic mushrooms. And patrons, Liz, listen, patrons are promised vivid geometric shapes, loss of identity, and oneness with the universe.
Okay. Well, that's 2 out of 3 of those sound great. I'm a little sketchy on loss of identity, but the other 2, sure. Oneness with the universe. What could possibly go wrong, Julie?
I don't know. This just seems bad. The tie-dye mattresses seem bad to me. 6 hours, other people on them. But apparently it's high demand, big wait list, 300 names on the wait list. So you better get
Okay. All right. And they're legalizing this throughout Oregon, is what you're saying.
Yes.
It's on the ballot. Okay. Well, all right. That's very interesting. Okay. So I want to go back to, you mentioned travel. and Jamie Fraser's trip. So I have a bucket list travel item that I wanted to run by you guys because I'm interested. And I'm also interested if any of our listeners have done trips like this. So not too long ago, I had dinner with our Satellite Sisters accountant and procurement director, Diane Gray, with her granddaughter, Selena. And Selena was just about to leave for a reef conservation international scuba diving trip in Belize, where they learned about the environment, but also helped clean up the reef. So she was telling me about it before she went. She was very excited. And of course, Diane Gray, because it's the way she is. She followed up with me by sending me videos of the baby sea turtles that Selena had said, other information about the trip. So here's what you do when you go on this trip. First of all, you learn about the invasive lionfish species. It's destroying their native coral reefs there. So you learn to spearfish to get rid of the lionfish. Yes. So they're just spearfishing them and trying to remove them from the reefs. But
is that making a dent in the lionfish population?
I don't know. I'll have to.
Amateur spearfishers.
Check with Selena. I don't want to be around too many amateur spearfishers. That would be my thing.
Okay.
But
it's interesting.
It's interesting. You learn about the coral reefs, the tropical fish. They have sharks. They have manatees. They have dolphins. They even have whale sharks, which is, not for nothing, the largest fish in the ocean. So I think this sounds interesting. So I'm wondering, first of all, would you guys ever want to do something like this? Maybe, I'm not saying come with me, but just on your own. And these service-related trips, have you ever heard of any that you thought would be like definitely interesting or definitely not for you, Julie or Leanne, either one of you?
I think it's very interesting, and I would be interested. I like the part of this trip where you're really learning about the biology, ecology of the reef, because I think, really having a good understanding of the science and, what's happening to our planet, I think is really critical. And there's just nothing like actually being there. It's like when we went to Patagonia, Liz, and saw the incredible glaciers, to really see these, to see these different kinds of bioenvironments, I think is critical. So I like that idea. Spearfishing, I'm out. And I don't like to scuba dive. So maybe reef conservation isn't for me, but traveling to, really different parts of the world definitely is for me.
Okay. All right. Leanne, any interest in this kind of a service trip?
I would say I don't scuba dive, but I like swimming and I liked our trip to the Galapagos.
Right.
And I did enjoy that. But that organization I belong to, American Women for International Understanding, they do delegations to various countries where there's some piece of it is service, and it's usually working with, organizations that help women and children and healthcare and legal defense and things like that. I'm interested in going on one of those. I just can never. Every time they're scheduled, my schedule won't allow it. So I'm hoping one day to at least go on a delegation. I would be interested, to see the inner workings of countries all over the world. And so I'm interested in this stuff. Yeah. Okay. Liz, you gonna do this? Is this?
I don't know. 2024 right now. I haven't penciled anything in, Leanne. So it's thought. I want to talk to Selena now that she's home, and I'm going to post this in the Satellite Sisters Facebook group. And if you've done anything like this and enjoyed it or not, lessons or not, I would love to hear from listeners about what your experience has been with this sort of combo bucket list vacation service trip. So let us know what you thought. And this is Reef Conservation International. That link is in the show notes too.
Liz, the season of dryness continues, and thank goodness we have Pros as one of our sponsors and as our custom made-to-order hair care. I mean, it's conditioner season, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, I love their shampoo, of course. I love the smell of it. I love what it does for my hair. It's very volumizing, all of that. But this is the time of year where conditioning is key, Leanne. And my Prose conditioner just really does the job. Otherwise, my hair is just like flat and dry and not good. But Prose has me covered.
I like the Prose hair vitamins. I mean, I'm a big believer in those. I mean, I love the shampoo, love the conditioner. I have a leave-in conditioner. That's the dryness situation at my house. But every day I'm combating it internally with the Prose hair vitamins. So I also enjoy that.
Fight the good fight, Leanne, with Prose as your helper.
All right. We love Prose, and you can get to know Prose and they can get to know you, because Prose knows there's more to you than just your hair type. Prose has given over 1 million consultations with their in-depth hair quiz, which is how we got started. By analyzing over 85 personal factors, including moisture, Prose handpicks clean, sustainable sourced ingredients that get you closer to the hair of your dreams. Custom made-to-order hair care from Prose has your name all over it. Take your free in-depth hair consultation and get 15% off your first order today. Go to prose.com/sisters, and Prose is spelled Prose. Prose.com/sisters for your free in-depth hair consultation and 15% off. Thanks, Prose.
We are very happy to announce that the major sponsor of the Big Fun Weekend will be MEA, the world's first midlife wisdom school. Now, we interviewed Chip Connolly from MEA, originally called Modern Elder Academy, on Satellite Sisters a few months ago, and just love their concept of using our wisdom to flourish in our second adulthood, which can start whenever we decide it starts.
That's right. You can rewrite your next chapter on one of their beautiful campuses, Baja, which is already open, and Santa Fe, which opens next spring. MEA also runs online workshops on subjects like reframing retirement and managing transitions. So manage change, get unstuck, and flourish in your second adulthood, all without changing out of your pajamas.
You'll hear more from MEA on the podcast over the next few months, but definitely go check out their brand new website for more information. That's meawisdom.com. meawisdom.com. Navigate what's next.
Okay, we're back. A couple updates. Satellite Sisters Big Fun Weekend happening in a month. If you are listening to this and you are joining us, check your email because you should have gotten an attendee survey. Right now, as we're speaking, they're going out to everyone who's coming to the Big Fun Weekend. So you can check off what events you're going to be doing. We have a few other questions for you, just trying to figure out who's going to come and do what, when, and where. And one of the activities is bracelet making. And we just want to say, don't wait till you get to Minneapolis to start the bracelets. All right. If you're into it, if you want to do these sisterhood friendship bracelet exchanges, start now, because it does take a while to make these, but it's worth it. And it's a lot of fun, right, Jill?
It is a lot of fun. And we're just imagining that when people get to Minneapolis, you're going to show off your bracelets. And as you meet other satellite sisters, maybe you'll trade bracelets. So it's really fun to make the bracelets. If you don't want to do that, find a teenager. I'm employing my granddaughter Alice. I've made some, but now she's making some for me. Put your favorite satellite sister expression on it. I know we're going to have fun. We do have bead supplies for Saturday morning. So if people want to make additional bracelets, or if you think of other things that you want, or you want to show people how to make bracelets, we can do it then.
Right. But do bring your own kits if you bought them. That would be good. We don't have beads for 150 people to make dozens of bracelets. Right. Okay. That's just key follow-up for the Satellite Sisters Big Fun Weekend. All right. Time for entertaining sisters. Joel, what do you got?
Okay, well, first of all, I have to give a $5 Satellite Sister shout out to my friend Cammie, who recommended this to me. It's a Netflix movie. It's called Love at First Sight. Love at First Sight. This is a very cute rom-com. And Leanne, it's based on Jennifer Smith's book, called Love at First Sight. Okay, this has it all. But Liz, imagine Love Actually meets Sliding Doors meets Four Weddings and a Funeral. Okay, that's what this movie is. It has everything.
Love it all.
Okay, so it has a chance meeting at an airport. It's set in London, so of course they're British accents. There's a wedding, there's a memorial service, there's fabulous flowers, there's tears. It's set at Christmas time. Okay, totally enjoyable rom-com. My only note to people is do not watch this on a plane. Don't download this movie and go on a plane because it's a sob fest, okay? And you will be a blubbering mess, okay? And you don't want that, okay? Watch it at home, okay, in the privacy of your own home. That's what I would recommend. But it's very cute. Love at first sight.
All right, Julie, excellent recommendation. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people have been heaping praises on that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and it has Haley Lou Richardson in it, and Ben Hardy is the male lead, and he is like Heath Ledger mini-me. He looks like, I kept looking at him, so he's like Heath Ledger's son. He's very cute, very cute.
Oh,
He was in EastEnders before he did this movie. Yep. Okay.
Excellent. Okay, Love at First Sight on Netflix. All right, this is for New Yorkers or people headed to New York. I want you to go to MoMA, the Museum of Modern Art, and check out the new installation by Ed Ruscha, the California artist, of the Chocolate Room. Okay, this is literally a room made from chocolate, folks. I loved reading about this installation. It was first done in 1970. It's only been installed, I think, like 6 times around the world, various places. Since then, MoMA has brought it back. It's a room where the walls are tiled with dark chocolate. Right. So first of all, it smells delicious. According to, people that have been there, the curator, the artist himself, like it's a room tiled with chocolate. So it smells good. But the extraordinary thing are these tiles. They're like massive, like 12 by 24 inch tiles that are fabricated here in Los Angeles with a very famous fabricator. They actually press out the dark chocolate they're using this time, which is a first. And then they sort of adhere them to paper and then carefully put them on the walls. And the chocolate has like subtle differences in color, and it just looks unbelievable. And it is a room tiled with chocolate. Did I say that? I mean, that's fantastic.
I mean, the guards must be very busy in that room because I think it would be so tempting to just like break off a piece. Lick the walls. I don't know. You can just see that things like that might happen.
Yeah. Well, my neighbor Paula went when Leanne, you were telling me about this. So I asked Paula, what was it like? And she said, it's wonderful to see a piece of art where you can smell the chocolate and might lick the wall if you could.
And the chocolate is super thin. They said like once they print it out and they adhere to this paper, like even if you put your hand up against the paper, it would melt the chocolate. Like it's excellent chocolate. And then it's used as tiles. It just seems amazing to me. I like when art does things that you just can't even believe they could do, right? So
they manufactured it in California, and then they had to put it on like a refrigerated truck to get it to New York. Is that?
Yeah.
I mean, even transporting the chocolate tiles seems tough.
Yeah. Well, I love Ed Ruscha's work. And if you read my book, Lost and Found in Paris, he was one of the inspirations for the father character in that. Because he's always operated out of this big warehouse in Venice Beach. So I created that whole, the motel in Lost and Found in Paris was based on sort of Ed Ruscha's art situation in Venice. So he was the inspiration there, and he's mentioned in the book. Actually, I used him in the book. But anyway, it's a room filled out of chocolate, made from chocolate. So if you're going to New York, please check in on that. Let me know. Let me know what that's like. I would love to hear some first person experiences. Also, it's the spooky season, and I do love witches. And so I have my 3rd annual witches book list posted now at bookshop.org. You can find the link in the show notes. I have posted a lot of books about witches, so it's hard to come up with a book list every year. But you know what? I'm not the only one who likes books about witches because every year they come out with more books about witches. So there are some fun ones, some light rom-coms. I loved Alice Hoffman's The Invisible Hour. That has, she's such a good writer, and did the whole Practical Magic series and just has the most gorgeous cover. And that one is very evocative. The Witch of Wild Things is about like a family of Mexican witches, and they use a lot of herbs, and there's a lot of that kind of stuff in it. I love that. The Unfortunate Side Effects of Heartbreak and Magic. That's just a fun, funny rom-com I think you'll like. I have a couple of some how-tos on the list.
How to be a witch? Oh,
Julie,
okay.
I know you're
I'm not really.
suspicious.
Witches not my thing. No, I don't really like witches. But
So I have one that's just called the Kitchen Witch Companion, which is recipes, rituals, and reflections. It's beautiful illustrations and things like that. I thought Kitchen Witches were good. And then another one for the stitchers in our community, Mystical Stitches, embroidery for personal empowerment. So some very cool designs. Okay. And then and then 10 other books. And then there are also lists there from 2022 and 2021. So a lot of books about witches now happening at the Satellite Sister / Lee and Dolan shop at bookshop.org. So there you go. All right. That's it. I think that's it for the show. Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, all of a sudden we're at the end of the show. I see it on my thing. Thanks. Okay, so thanks to Sergio Enriquez for engineering our show. A big thanks to Emily Borgine for creating our graphics. A big thanks to our sponsors who make our show possible. We appreciate you, and we appreciate the listeners who use those codes and go to those URLs and patronize the sponsors. So thanks to you too. All right, our to-do list for the day. Joel, what do you got?
Okay, well, I have to respond to Eli, and that would be Eli from the marketing team at Easy Plant. Have you seen this on the internet? Easy Plants, they're you buy the plants online and they come, but they have this special watering system where you pour water into a container and then you don't have to water them for like months. Okay.
I'm fascinated by this, Julie. I see this on Instagram all the time. I'm tempted. Have you actually bought one?
No, I haven't bought one. But see, Eli writes me every day. He said, Dear Julie, this is Eli. Hey, it's Eli again. We know you were looking at that fig tree. Do you want to, I'm not that good with plants, but I just don't know if it's like a gimmick or does it really work, or would this plant die just, the same as all my other household plants die? I don't know. But Eli, we just every day he writes me, so I got to respond.
That's how they get you.
When are we going to be able to stop talking about plants? I mean, we've had a lot of talk about plants, haven't we? Last couple of years. I mean, not on satellites, it's just out there in the community. It's all, I'm just bitter because our really wonderful garden section of the LA Times has now just become all house plants. I'm like, what is happening? Anyway, that's just me personally. All right, Julie.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to trigger anything. Just
had no idea you had a beef.
Wow. Seem kind of bitter over there.
I'm sorry. We never should have done the bitter business. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm mine to do this. Liz and I have to do a speech this week. Sometimes these speeches are on our calendar for like a year, and then still they can come out of the blue. Isn't that true, Liz? Like all of a sudden they've snuck up on us. So Liz and I are doing a talk tomorrow at a club in Los Angeles. And Jewel, I had to put together a PowerPoint. And one of the things, and you and I have used this PowerPoint, it's the history of Satellite Sisters, kind of the joke history of Satellite Sisters. But one of the things I learned to do during the pandemic, I taught myself PowerPoint, like advanced PowerPoint. And I just want to say that's changed my life. And I'm all for learning new things. And I'm sure PowerPoint is now really passe and no one does it, but I finally learned how to use it. And second, I used all of our great graphics from the show, Julie. All of the things that Emily has done over the years that I haven't. I just started slapping that in the PowerPoint. It looks fantastic. It's elevated my PowerPoint game like 100%. So
it looks so great, Julie. It looks great.
Well, I'll have to see a copy at some point. Yeah.
Just big thanks to Emily. So that's my to do. Thank you, Emily. I mean, you've made me a better person and a better PowerPointer. Thanks, Emily.
Okay, it's Liz. My to-do is I think I've mentioned in the past that my dog Hooper is not enthusiastic about food in general. which is very rare for a dog. But also occasionally just goes on these hunger strikes where he just quits eating whatever food I give him and forces me to change the brand. And, but so I've gotten used to that. But I was away for the last 10 days. Right before I went away, he didn't seem to be eating much. So I thought, okay, when I come home, time for a new brand. But then he goes to his dog sitter, Mark, and being at Mark's is like eating at McDonald's every day for 10 days. Feeds him complete junk food, like whatever. It's bacon and it's hamburger and it's sausages and it's stuff. So normally he bulks up when he's at Mark's so he can come home and sustain his hunger strike here, where I'm giving him the healthy food. But when I picked him up early this morning, Mark said he was not even eating the chicken sausage I gave him. He was not. He was leaving bacon in his bowl. So I think we might have a situation here. So my number one thing I have to do today when we're done with the show is make an appointment to take him in to see his vet, because she knows him and she knows that this is sort of his pattern. But, it's not good when a dog stops eating.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's very worrisome. Yes.
It's very worrisome. So we are going to get on the case. So I don't know what I'm going to feed him today. Of course, as I'm leaving Mark's, he's like, buy a rotisserie chicken. So that's what.
Okay.
I mean, he talks to me as if I've never had a dog before. Anyway, whatever. He's right. I'm going to get a rotisserie chicken and we'll see how that works. But really, we're going to have to go see the vet. So that's me.
Ooh, that was a long to-do. People had issues. People working some stuff out in that to-do section. All right, Liz, I'll see you tomorrow at our speech.
Okay, yes.
Have fun at your speech, girls. Yeah.
I'm just afraid I'm going to forget.
I know. Let's show up. All right, Jill, have a great week.
You too.
And don't forget, call your satellite sister.